Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Nina and I love to quilt. But do you ever lose that feeling or desire to quilt and you just can't get it back? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. Hopefully my ideas will help you get your quilting mojo back. That's what it's called. It's that desire to quilt. And because of life or events or anxiety or stress, you can lose that desire to quilt. And then what do? So I have some ideas that hopefully today will help you get your quilting desire back and make quilts, because that's what I want to do. Here's some things that helped me. I have about 5, but there's a lot more out there. And if you have any suggestions, please leave it in the comments below, and I'd be glad to share it in future videos because I'm going to talk about this a lot. So the first thing you need to do is just accept that it's going to happen from time to time. And the best way to get back is to write down a date. Say on this date, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, I am going to start this project, and name the project. And like I said, write it down, because writing it down does help. Second thing you can do is do something else that's creative. I love to crochet. I love to cross stitch. I love to embroidery. I recently discovered diamond painting. This is addictive. So find something else that you can do that's also creative. Maybe you just needed a break from quilting for a little bit, and that's okay, you know? So just find another way to be creative, and something else can help you get the juices back to want to create quilts again. Pulling fabric from your stash is helpful sometimes. You know, just pulling out fabric and ironing it or cutting it into squares can help get those juices back. So if you don't, and that would be step number 4, is go out and buy some fabric. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You could just go to Walmart or Dollar Tree. That's where I found this fabric. Behind me was Dollar Tree. And buy $4 or $5 worth of fabric. So, you know, you could spend that at Walmart or the local coffee shop. So it doesn't have to be a lot of money, and just start building a little bit of a stash. You don't have to have a whole room full of fabric like I do. So, but just have a little bit of a stash, and that can sometimes help you get the creative juices back, to have some fabric that you can pull out and think about, what would I do with this fabric? A 5th thing, and my last one for today, is watch quilting videos on YouTube. They have helped me get my creative juices flowing again, and hopefully you watching this video will help you get your creative juices flowing again. So let me explain to you this quilt behind me. It's just a baby blanket. I took some fabric from Dollar Tree, or I have some fabric here from Walmart. These fat quarters were just $1. And you want to iron your fabric first. I don't wash my fabric before I use it in a quilt. And the reason is you want the fabric to be stiff. You want crisp edges, and it helps make a crisp seam and those really nice points that you want to have in your quilts. So I don't wash my fabric before I quilt it. Yes, the fabric is going to shrink, but if all the fabric shrinks the same, then nobody's going to notice. So after you pick your fabric, take it to the ironing board, iron it, all the wrinkles out of it, and I use spray starch on my fabric as well. And the thing about spray starch is that if you starch on one side, you want to starch all the fabric on one side. If you have to use the spray starch on both sides, well, you want to use a spray starch on both sides on all the fabric. So that way the fabric all shrinks the same. And then nobody's going to notice that it shrank. So after you've ironed your fabric, then you want to cut it into 5-inch squares. And you're going to need 64 5-inch squares for this blanket behind me. And you're going to sew each square together 8 to a row. And you're going to have 8 rows. And I did all my rows first. And after I sewed each block together, I ironed each row. And one row I ironed to the right, pressing the seams to the right. And the second row, I pressed them to the left. And the reason is you want the back of your quilt to be flat, as flat as possible. So each row, when you sew those, I made each row first, and then I sewed 2 rows together, and I sewed 4 sets of 2s, and then I sewed took 2 sets of 2s and sewed those together, so I had 2 sets of 4, and then sewed the 4 rows and the 4 rows together, and my top was finished. And it took me about an hour to iron my fabric and cut it into 5-inch squares, and then another hour to sew all the rows, blocks together, and then the rows to get this baby blanket behind me. And you have a finished project. And sometimes having a simple, fast project that you can do in an afternoon can help get those creative juices back as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you want to see how I finish this quilt, that'll be in the next video. And I hope you want to watch that. Please hit the subscribe button so that you'll know when I upload the next video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments below. And thank you for watching.